This is Mr. Walter Kirby. He is a man who smells funny.
And now for something completely different.
Terry Serpent's swimming spectacle. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 23rd Annual Stereotype Olympics, the only competition on Earth that proves how hilarious stereotypes can be to people who feel a need to place everything in a certain category. Let's meet our contestants. We have DJ Icepunk, representing the African Americans, Tom McFabulous, representing the gay community. There's Father Jackson, representing some type of religious stereotype, most likely one with a god. For the Asian people, we have a very smart young Lee. Representing any Middle Eastern stereotypes, we have Mara Fagarihidush. And finally, for all the women in the world, there's Kimberly Bubbles. Now that that's out of the way, let's get straight to the game. Now the contestants must go all the way through the obstacle course, and whoever gets to the end will win most efficient and hilarious stereotype of the year. Let's get a rundown of the obstacle course. The contestants must first leap over the pile of mud to get to their cars so that they can drive over to the food stations where they must cook their favorite stereotypical meals and finally tell several jokes about themselves to the audience. And that starts off the race, ladies and gentlemen. It is quite a spectacle here today. DJ Icepunk seems to be taking the lead, running extremely fast and hurtling over the mud puddle without any difficulty whatsoever. And here comes young Lee with a tremendous leap over the puddle. And there's Father Jackson and the Arab man hand in hand, and they are going around the puddle. I'm not quite sure if that's legal, but very typical of religious followers to bend rules for their benefit. And finally, there's Kimberly Bubbles and Tom McFabulous, who seem to have become BFFs and lost all interest in the sport of these games. They appear to be refusing to jump over for fear of becoming dirty. And back over at the cars, it appears that DJ Icepunk has realized that he does not have a car, so it appears he is stealing young Lee's at gunpoint. A potential drawback, especially since Lee could not have done very well driving anyway. Fortunately, he seems to have hailed the cab, which the Arab man appears to be driving. Let's turn to Father Jackson, who seems to be blocking Bubbles and McFabulous from their cars for the reasons I'm not quite sure. Wait a minute. Yes, I'm being told Father Jackson is explaining why homosexuality is a sin and is attempting to convert Bubbles and McFabulous to Christianity. A rather bold strategy for Father Jackson. Let's see if it pays off in the end. And now we turn to DJ Icepunk, who has made it to his food station and is working very intensely on his famous favorite chicken and waffles. I am unaware as to whether or not he will be serving Kool-Aid. Young Lee seems to be writing out some long, complicated mathematical formula, which I'm guessing is a recipe for some type of rice-based dish. And we turn to the Arabian man, who does not seem to be cooking anything. It instead looks as though he is making some type of explosive weapon or something. I'm sure we'll find out later in the show. I'm being told right now that after being lectured by Father Jackson, McFabulous and Bubbles have lost all enthusiasm in the competition and have gone on a shopping spree. This proved to be a very wise move by Father Jackson, who was making a very simple meal of bread and wine. Yes, and just like that, I believe he is the first to finish with his meal. Now he steps to the mic to tell stereotypical jokes.
Did you hear the one about Jesus and the disciples? Well, neither did I, because joking about the Holy Father is a sin.
Ooh, that's going to cost the father a few points for not even attempting to have a sense of humor. And it looks like young Lee has found his way to the mic as well, and he does not appear to be moving, folks. Yes, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that he may have stage fright, so we'll cut back to him later.
You know what I'm saying,
and now to DJ Icepunk, who's got the crowd going with a series of off-colored jokes and repetitive cursing. And it looks like the Arab man is nowhere to be found, ladies and gentlemen. Another dropout. It appears, yes, DJ Icepunk has finished his jokes and made his way to the finish line. This leaves Father Jackson in second for being the second one to actually say something, and Young Lee in close third for being the only one left in the competition. So that means that DJ Ice Punk is our winner, and African Americans are the stereotype of the year. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. Wait now, what's this? The Arab man has resurfaced, and he has what appears to be a bomb.
Serves them right. That last sketch was offensive and disgusting.
Now then, I've noticed a tendency for this program to get rather silly. I think this whole program has gone far enough. That last sketch was far too silly. It was distasteful and offensive. Now we'll have no more of that. Now on my signal, we're going to cut to a nicer, cleaner sketch. Director, zoom in on me. Now on my command, cut to the next sketch. Director? Wait a moment. Director? Cut.
Hello everyone, yes, quiet, thank you. Alright, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I've gathered you all here today to discuss a very serious problem in a recent discovery of mine. Now if you look at this diagram of the average Lego man, you'll notice that we, as a species, lack genitalia.
What?
We Lego people do not have a reproductive system.
What do you mean?
This means that we do not have the ability to engage in coitus in order to reproduce future generations of Lego people.
Wait a minute. You mean to say that if this problem isn't fixed, we could all die out?
Well, I don't want to alarm anybody, but yes.
You mean there's no way for us girls and guys to do anything to have a baby?
Yes, well, funny you should ask that, because in my research I also happened to discover that there's no real difference between a male and a female Lego person. We are, in actuality, one single sex.
I don't believe you.
I will demonstrate on my assistant. Jean, come here. You'll see here that Jean is a rather average-looking man. Nice head of hair, signature smiley face with two big black eyes. But if I snap off his hair and throw on the girly Lego hair, Jean is now a rather plain-looking woman.
So what you mean to say is that our gender is determined by our hair?
Yes, now, I understand that this can cause some problems for people, like surfers with long hair, or butch girls with short, manly haircuts, but don't panic.
What do you mean about relationships?
Who's going to bring on the bacon?
Who am I? I don't even know anymore.
What about bald people?
How does this affect cross-dressers?
Now, settle down, everyone, please. Please, settle down. Jean, get me a megaphone or something.
I don't have to listen to you. What am I, your secretary?
What are you talking about? You've been my assistant for 12 years. Ow! Come back here, you silly sod! Hey, what are you doing with that? Let's go of that!